In this second section, we will look at the roles of sugars acting as structural molecules such as cellulose, chitin, and glycosaminoglycans. Generally, there are three types of structural polysaccharides. The first one is cellulose, which is the most abundant polysaccharides on Earth because it comprises mostly the biomass such as cell walls of plants. And then you have chitin, which is another polysaccharide that forms the exoskeleton of crustaceans such as crabs, lobsters, and even insects. And then you also have glycosaminoglycan, which is a polysaccharide that forms the ECM or the extracellular matrix of bacteria, and they have other functions in animal cells. Okay, showing here is the structure of cellulose. As you can see, these glucose residues are linked together by the beta-1,4 glycosidic bond, which is different from the alpha-1,4 glycosidic bond in starch and glycogen. As a result, we do not have the enzymes to utilize this cellulose as a source of energy. Now, because cellulose is a very rigid structure, they provide structural support for plants, especially for the woody plants. And over here you have cotton fibers. It is made of more than 90% cellulose, and it is an important crop for thousands of years to provide us with comfortable clothing. This is why cellulose is a strong and rigid structure. As we can see, in between the individual polysaccharide chains, there are multiple hydrogen bonds that link them together, and therefore, collectively, these are strong forces that can keep the structure strong and rigid. Another reason why the cellulose fibers are strong is that they are highly compacted. So what you have here is not just a single fiber, but they are organized from multiple macrofibrils, which consist multiple microfibrils, and they are bonded together by a lot of hydrogen bonds. And this structure is so strong that they can support palm trees to withstand even a Category 5 hurricane with a speed of 300 km per hour. Okay, next one, we will look at the amino sugars, which are basically sugars that are modified with an amino group. But sometimes the modification could be in the form of an amide group, such as in the case of N-acetylglucosamine, which is this sugar over here. So it is basically a glucose molecule that is modified with an extra amide group, while the rest of the sugars here, they are modified with the amino group. So the first one is D-glucosamine, which is a glucose molecule modified with an amino group, while this one, D-manosamine, is a monosugar modified with an amino group, while D-galactosamine is derived from the galactose, and again, it is added with an amino group. So, the amino sugars are the building blocks to make chitin, which is another polysaccharide that can serve as structural support. So in this case, you have N-acetylglucosamine, which is a derivative of sugar glucose. And as you can see, they are used as the monomer to make chitin, which will provide structural support for insects and other arthropods as their exoskeleton material. On the other hand, glycosaminoglycans are another type of polysaccharides that are composed of amino sugars such as chondroitin sulfate, keratin sulfate, heparin, dermatan sulfate, and hyaluronate. As you can see, all these sugars, they are composed of repeating disaccharide units of negative charges. But in this session, we will just focus on these two sugars, which are heparin and hyaluronate. So, heparin is a type of glycosaminoglycan composed of one iduronic acid and another glucosamine sugar molecule, and they are linked together by a glycosidic bond in between. And heparin is a highly sulfated molecule because you can see there are multiple sulfate groups or the SO3 minus groups within the sugar itself. So what is the function of heparin? It is widely used as an injectable anticoagulant in medicine. So clinically, we use heparin to prevent blood from clotting, such as in the case of any patients with a high risk of heart attack, or even recently, we use that in the COVID-19 patients, since study shows that patients might encounter an increased risk of getting blood clotting and stroke. Hyaluronate is another type of glycosaminoglycan, which is composed of one glucuronic acid and one glucosamine, and it is better known as hyaluronic acid, which is found widely throughout our connective, epithelial, and neural tissue. And it also forms the bacterial extracellular matrix, which is responsible for the virulence of Streptococcus strain.